Well, good morning, everybody, on a nice, cold and frosty Monday morning. Welcome back to my kitchen on day 742 of our 2021 lockdown. Well, I hope you're all surviving. It's been a little bit mad as usual, but I guess this week does bring the slight excitement of possibly a bit of snow to keep us on our toes. Anyway, today's experiment is back into our kitchen for a bit of kitchen science. For all the mums and dads watching, sorry if I wrecking the place again, but it is all in the name of science. Now, what we're going to look at today is we're going to look at testing acids and bases. Alright, and these are two different ways to kind of classify a material. We're going to use these strange little colour pieces of paper that hopefully have arrived in the post by now. These three. Alright, so we're going to set aside that little small yellow one, and be careful of the yellow one, we don't have very much of that. And we're going to focus on the two litmus papers, surprisingly named red litmus and blue litmus. Now, whatever you do, keep them dry. Alright, if they get wet, they get used up. We do only have a limited amount of them. Now, as you'll see behind me, what we're going to use is a selection of household objects. Okay, food, bits and pieces, like some vinegar, some bread soda, yogurt, a little bit of a lemon, and we have some cleaning products. And cleaning products can also be interesting for a nice big strong reaction. Now, if you're using the cleaning products, just be careful. They get on your hands, wash them straight away. Make sure that they don't go anywhere near your eyes. And I've found a load of little white bowls, all of Mrs. Bates's nice bowls for dips and things like that. And they're kind of handy because we can see our colour changes quite easily. So, the final thing I have is a load of little labels, because we're going to try and keep track of all these bits and pieces as we go. Now, let's move the camera around and we'll see how we're going to do this. Okay, so for this bit of it, I've chosen 4 different materials to investigate. All right, now our goal overall is to try and get one acid and one base each. It doesn't matter too much. And again, you don't have to have all these different bits and pieces around. They're just kind of handy ones that might work. So like I said earlier on, a few other things like, you know, you can do yogurt or Domestos or Mr. Muscle. All of those things can be kind of fun to try out too. So step 1, we got to make a liquid preparation. So my oven cleaner is pretty straightforward. Squirt a bit of that in there. Okay, mind the stuff, that's not the most fun thing to have in your eyes. We'll put a little bit of vinegar. Now, if you're using vinegar, this clear vinegar is much better because we're looking for a colour change. Okay, so if you have this instead of like the darker vinegars, this is the way to go. Okay, we'll pop a bit in there. And that's vinegar. I said I'd do a little bit of a lemon. Now the lemon, we can squeeze a small bit of lemon there. I managed to do that while making a complete mess, so I'll just give this one a rinse. It's the fun of science, isn't it? Now, if you want a bit of fun with a lemon, okay, you can go and have a little taste of it, because acids often taste kind of tangy. Now, I wouldn't recommend you go tasting all these bits and pieces. You can certainly taste the vinegar if you like. That's no problem. That's got a good old kick to it. But what about the baking soda? Well, baking soda, it comes... Have your spoons ready for this, top tip. It comes in this kind of powdery, so that's not much good for us for testing. So we need to stick a load in there, and we need to make up a solution. So I'm just going to go put a bit of water in this. Just a small little bit of water, and we'll mix it around. It's kind of mixed up there. Okay. Yeah, if you want, you can kind of taste that one too. It's not the most fun, I won't lie to you, but it's a slightly different taste. Okay. So now we have a little bit of liquid in each of these, and I've stuck the little labels down because it is a clear liquid, so it's not always that easy to see. So here's how we do it. Now this is a 2-part test, all right? So let's have a look at these ones for the moment. Now, I have lots of litmus paper. You might even want to cut these in half because you only need a small little bit of them. You'll definitely get 2 out of each one. So let's try, we're going to try a red and a blue in both of these. So let's pop them down here and look at this. Both of these guys have turned to red. All right, and that will tell us, let's put this down beside the vinegar here. That will tell us that the vinegar is an acid. Okay, so if it turns red in the end, it's an acid. What about our lemon? Let's look at our good friend the lemon. Again, the blue. Oh, that's definitely turning red, nice and straight away. And we will see if the red one, that stays red. Now you're probably wondering, why do we need to kind of bother with 2 of them? It's very important. We're going to have a look at that in a second. Well, let's have a look at these 2 guys first. What about baking soda? Well, that one's staying blue there. So this might suggest, see if we keep it on camera, that baking soda might be a base, but we won't know until we put this in. Okay, so we get a little red one here. And let's see what happens. Ta-da! So that is a base. And the way I always remember this one is the base stay blue and the red's the other one. Okay. Right. You want to think about the reds are like pirates because the acids are red. Make up your own little mad thing. So let's have a look at our oven cleaner, our last one here, and that one is going straight into blue. Okay, and this one doesn't really give us much indication as to how strong it is, but that one does look a teeny bit stronger than this one. And we'll double check it, and that's staying blue. Okay, so we know that these two are going to be bases because they've turned the litmus paper blue, and these two are acids. Now you might wonder, why are we having to do the two of them? So we're just going to move the camera slightly over here, and this is water. All right, just straight tap water. And if I pop a little bit of this guy in, I'll take a small bit more red litmus. Now, so if I put the red litmus into the water, it stays red. And if I put the blue litmus into the water, it stays blue. So this tells us it's neither an acid or a base. It's neutral, and that's why we got to use the two of these when we test it. So what you guys want to do is lay out your materials just like this, okay? So just let's indicate what it is, what results you got, and then what you know. And if you get a mixture of the two of them like this and this, okay, then we'll know that it is a neutral. Okay, it's not an acid or a base, it's neutral. All right, now that's part one. So off you go, have a go with that one, take a little photograph of your experiment to the end, and then come back to me for part two. Well, in part one, we looked at how do we actually figure out if it's an acid or a base. But sometimes that's only an initial step. We know it's acid or base, but actually we don't know how strong it is. And that's going to be step two. And that's where we bring in this little magic guy, our universal indicator paper. Now, the bit you don't have, and it's going to be attached to this little assignment, is this. All right? This guy here is a way to decode the color. And you can see here, unlike the litmus paper, we're going to get a range of colors depending on how strong an acid or how strong a base it is. So let's go back and test the guys we did earlier on and see if we figure out which are the stronger acids and which are the stronger bases. Alright, so here's our friends from earlier on. Now, we don't have much of this stuff, okay, so you may want to tear it off into very small little chunks in order to do your testing. And just if your hands get into any of this stuff, give me a little rinse before you go back and forth so you don't contaminate things. So let's have a look at our vinegar. Pop it down there. And our vinegar is going to be this nice little orange colour. Okay, so let's bring our little scale across. And by comparing the things on the scale, I can see that this is going to be somewhere probably around 2 or 3. Okay, on my pH. So, that's alright. What about the lemon? Let's check our lemon. Actually, this is quite similar. See, I'll hold up beside it. So both of these two are a very, very similar kind of value in terms of an acid. Let's move over to our friend the baking soda. Now our baking soda is a base. So if we look at our little scale here, where's our camera there? Okay, I would expect a 7 is the middle. All right. So what we find is the acids are 1 all the way around to 7. And then from 7 to 14, this side, they're the bases. So I'd expect it sort of a purpley greeny color. Let's see what happens. Stick it in here. And oh, look at that, straight away I get this nice kind of greeny color. So I'm probably like a pH of 8 or something there. Okay, I'll pop that down the baking soda one. And our final little one, the oven cleaner. Now, as you imagine, this is probably going to, we'd expect this to be a little bit stronger, given that it's, cleaning ovens and they're manky. So let's have a look here and see what happens. And, oh wow, yeah, look at that. Straight away, a nice deep color, and that's somewhere around the 12 to 14 range. Much stronger one. So that is the one not to be licking and testing. Okay, we'll pop that down there. And now, so we can see, using the universal indicator paper, we can get an idea of how strong an acid or how strong a base we have here. All right, off you go. Have a go at that one. You can stick it down just like this, and then you take a photograph, and that's your results sorted out. Okay, brilliant work, guys. And remember, our acids are this side here. Okay, 1 up to 7. 7 is the middle. Actually, now that I think of it, we'll just do a quick little one in the water. Remember the water was here? There's my pot of water. We'll stick that in there. Okay. Takes a little bit more time to react. Okay, and we can see that even though it looks a little bit yellowy, it actually kind of matches up that 6, 7. Sometimes the water is not perfectly in the middle. Okay, but that is our neutral. All right, I remember I did mention our little contamination. You can actually see on mine that where I was holding my fingers. See, my fingers are actually got a little bit of base on them from one of the different things I was holding. So just keep an eye on that little cross-contamination. And if that pops up, that's fine. That's a little idea of our experimental error that could be happening. And we could just improve our experiment by raising, actually, maybe I do need to wash my hands. I must have picked up a bit off one of these two to give me a slight base where it touches. All interesting. Well, folks, hope we've learned a little bit here about some acids and bases. It's a different way to classify materials. Fingers crossed it snows soon.